Hello there everybody, welcome back to OriginalTechNic, Nicola Kench design. I be Nicola Kench, and I be repeating myself. A very bad habit, but one apparently I cease not to restrain, or I cease to restrain, or I will not restrain. Right, yes, I just wanted to give these props a little look in. Right, honestly, there you go. Right, just pulling the mic out, you know what I'm saying? Extra cord, extra power. Marvellous. Right, thank you for coming so far with me on this highly repetitive journey. I hope you haven't flaked out. I do hope you've gone into a knitting trance and experienced the joy of such a thing. I am one who spent many, many hours of my life in such a place, aka a knitting trance. Yes, welcome back to Find Your Inner Leonardo. Yo, Leonardo. The joy of knitting. Our next step, our fourth video in the skills videos, the fifth video in total for this little series, is really how to get rid of this knitting now. Otherwise, sorry, please forgive me. Apparently I'm channeling this other voice. There's very little I can do about it. It is what it is. Right, really, we want to now be done. We're done now. We need to know how to cast off, which is obviously what we have here. Is we have the little rope-like edge, which is casting on, which I showed you in the first of the skills videos, and then right at the top you get a kind of a chain look, and that is casting off. And obviously that's the top of your piece of knitting. That's when you finish off. I'm going to use the same wool here. This is a Robin, super chunky, also very, very available all over the place. This beautiful grass green color, loving it, loving it, loving it. It's kind of elfish color, nice, sort of an elf leaf thing going on. And of course, next time you see my hands, I will be behind the camera making a lot of noise and showing you how to get free. Right, so what we have here is we have a piece of plain knitting, plain on both sides. As the first skills that we looked at, again, I'm using the super chunky in size 10mm. Right, now, what we do with casting off is it's fairly much so business as usual in terms of knitting, all right? So what you do here is at the start of the row, business as usual, you put your needle into the back of the knitting through the stitch, just like you would knit as usual. Under and around, through and off. Yeah. Now, when you cast off, you always need to have 2 stitches, and you'll see how that works in a second. You need 2 stitches to do it. Next time, right over here, through the stitch into the back of the knitting, under and around, through and off. Now, what you do is you want to obviously finish off the edge. And the edge is actually going to, this is another one I prepared earlier, it's going to look like that, a beautiful chain edge. There you go, you get your rope edge for where you cast on and your chain edge for where you cast off. All these little miracles. Right, so here we go. We've got these 2 stitches now you want to finish off. So what you do is you put your needle into the one that is furthest away from you, the right-hand side of the 2 stitches. You put your needle in there to the front, you pick it up, you lift it up, and you pull it right over the second stitch. And what you do there is you will see it again properly in a second when I do more, is you create that little chain. Then you have your 1 stitch. And of course you are now creating an edge. So then you need 2 stitches again. Put your needle in from the front to the back, a normal knit stitch. Under and around, through and off, and there you've got your 2 stitches. So what you do is you're going to take your right, sorry, that going in and out of focus, wild. You're going to take your right stitch with your left hand needle, pick it up in the front, right, you don't have to do anything on the back, and pull it over the left hand stitch. And again, what's happening there is you're just creating that chained edge, the top of the knitting, and you've got your 1 stitch left. Right, then you do it again, same as usual, same drill, needle in from the front to the back, under and around, through and off. Then what you do is you're going to, sorry, it's just going in another focus, or easy tiger, all right. Then you get the right hand stitch, you pick it up from the front, and you pull it over the left hand stitch, can you see that it's actually creating those chains? All right, it creates a beautiful chained top. Right, let's do it again. We need to have 2 stitches always, needle from the front to the back, under and around, through and off. Okay, get the right hand stitch, pick it up in the front and pull it over the left hand stitch, leaving you with 1 stitch. I'm repeating myself. I know I am. Okay, now I'm going to pick up speed a little bit. Again, what you can do is you can just carry on in your own pace, all right, and I will, slow down again at the end of the row. This is speed knitting. This can mesmerize strangers on a bus. Bless. I have actually done it. It's hilarious. Honestly, I felt like I was a snake charmer. The dude was like just staring at me, and he was like pretending not to stare at me. It was the cutest thing ever. He was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, actually, I was doing crochet, but still it had the same mesmeric effect. Right. There we go. Right, and over. It's going in and out of focus. That's because it's such, clearly it's like wild animals on the screen. But anyhow, right, here we go. It's like a caterpillar. Right, I'm getting to the end of the row, and what you will see there is that gorgeous chain-edged top. Sorry, for us knitting crazy people, they're all these little miniature joys. And look at that beautiful chain-edged top. Right, you're getting rid of all of those stitches. You're creating that edge. There you go. And now obviously we're going to be coming to the last stitch. Under and around, through and off. Oopsie. Take the right stitch over the left stitch. Same thing here. Through, under and around, through and off. And what happens now is, as you can see, you are left with your one last stitch. Now what you do here is you pull this out. Now I've actually got the whole ball there, don't worry about that. Right. You pull that out, and what you do is you just tighten up again. It's like a slip knot. Do it carefully. Right, and then you pull it down. I pull it down a little bit there, and then you cut this. Right, you cut that. Important point for starter knitters is that when you come to the end of your knitting, do not cut over here. Right, just the very thought of it is such a travesty. Okay, you must give yourself enough thread to sew these extra threads in back into the knitting so that you have a smooth edge, which is exactly what we're going to do in the next video. So look, I'm giving myself about 30 centimeters there, enough to play with. All right, and snip off. Right, there you go. There's the ball of wool, and there's the little bit which is the sample, which I've just casted off. There's the chain on the top. Okay, marvelous. In the next video we're going to be looking at how to tidy up these threads. Fantastic. Marvelous. Right, everybody, there you go. So what we have now is, of course, there's my original sample, and what we have here is the bit that I've just casted off on, which is the super chunky, the Robin's super chunky in grass green, or whatever it's called, with the 10mm needles. Now, obviously, what we have here is from when you start the knitting, you've got your thread, and from when you end the knitting, you have your thread. Do not cut it off close. That will be a world of pain. Please don't do it to me or to anyone. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to sew in these threads so that you have a nice smooth piece of knitting without all these extra fronds. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Nicola Kench from Nicola Kench Design, OriginalTechNic. Subscribe, like, share, switch on the notifications button so that you can welcome the finding of your inner Leonardo into your life, and you can experience for yourself the full joy of knitting. Right, and on to the next video, sewing in threads.